Howdy folks. Really wanting to wax lyrical about this site here. I'm in the southern highlands of New South Wales, in a place called Exeter, sort of south of Mittagong, not far from Mossvale. And you get these beautiful, what we call southern highlands shale woodlands. And there's a nice tree here I can document, which is, I reckon, one of the nicest eucalypts in New South Wales. These southern highland shale woodlands, they've got really tall trees, although on this site, yeah, they're probably pushing 30 to 35 metres. So I'm not saying they're small, but I have been on some sites where they're easily pushing 40 to 50, possibly even more. But I don't think that's an exaggeration. But on this particular site, they're about 30 to 35. You get this nice, beautiful grassy ground layer. They're just these native meadows. They're absolutely gorgeous. This does have some weed invasion because a lot of these sites have some agricultural history. But the site sort of descends down that way, sort of to the west, I guess. It's going into the summer sunlight late in the afternoon. I've sort of been here way too long, but I just really want to make this one because we don't get these trees in Sydney. I'm just killing myself trying to walk through the blackberry. Unfortunately, there's some blackberry invasion, but you get some beautiful native grasslands where there aren't weeds. I've pretty much got everything I need to cover the tree up here, but I'm trying to show them in their sort of most grandiose form. In this vegetation, we've got what we call mountain grey gum, or some people call it monkey gum, Eucalyptus carpa. That's in the middle there, but I can make a video on that some other time. That's carpa, nice big tree. But we've got a stringy bark next to it, and the stringy barks get just as tall as well. They're well and truly, some of them are getting up to 30 metres. And we've pretty much got everything we need to just show it on the edge of this dam. We've just got a dam up here where a lot of the ukes on site are regenerating. And as soon as we look at it, you can see it's got that stringy bark feature, the uneven leaf bases. This tree is sort of, for a stringy bark, it's very different. It's Eucalyptus obliqua, and it's called the Messmate. And you can find them here in the southern highlands on the enriched soil. They can get on the sandy country as well, and I've seen them in sort of sandy, swampy country, but by and large, they're on the shale soil. And they get onto the basalt country as well, the nice volcanic soil. So you can see this is sort of, this is an adult branch coming off an adult tree. So all of this should be fair game. It's also fertile. There's the oblique bases, like I've been showing for stringy barks. They're sort of pretty concolorous. I'd say they're pretty much concolorous. And what I'm noticing is they just get really fat in the juvenile stage. They get really, really fat. I just want to show you a juvenile, what I think is a juvenile tree down here, because we've also got juvenile carpas as well. But if you remember back to Eucalyptus capitulata, that stringy bark, we were sort of seeing this on one of the trees I was showing. But these, I would say, are nowhere near as thick. You definitely wouldn't get something like Eucalyptus capitulata here, but I know you've got to learn about your trees to know that. But just getting these really fat juvenile, I'd say semi-juvenile sort of leaves on this. This is a 4 metre tall sapling, and you're just getting these huge, absolutely huge leaves. And that's a sapling of Eucalyptus obliqua. You sort of have to learn its habitat and learn where it is. It's a tree that goes right down to Tasmania. It goes through Victoria, sort of down the highlands of New South Wales, the fertile highlands, and gets into Tasmania. And in Tasmania and Victoria, you can get trees that are 90 metres tall. So Eucalyptus obliqua or the Messmate will get to 90 metres tall. So it's a real big, you know, bugger off eucalypt. It's really big. I've got everything here. It's really good. I've got buds. You can see the buds are looking very stringy bark like. They've got that stringy bark look to them, that clustering. They're not really showing that pointed operculum that a lot of them have. And you can see they're well and truly above 7. They're getting into the sort of, well and truly into the 7 to 15 department, which a lot of the stringy barks will have. There's another cluster there. Just the fruits, the buds. I've also got some flowers. I haven't seen this one in flower much, but there just happens to be some flowers here. They're not very big. Probably with, you know, if we measure across those stamens, they're probably about 25 mil across. So sort of a dainty flower, I guess I could say, but that's a typical stringy bark flowering like that. So nice flowers. It's early February here, so I assume it might be a summer flower. And then what the real sort of spin out is about Eucalyptus obliqua, it is a stringy bark, or it's recognised as being a stringy bark, is these are the fruits. And they're not really stringy bark at all. You can see that they don't really have that typical stringy bark look. If you look at my videos, Eucalyptus capitulata, globoidea, eugenioides, these are very different, but by and large they show all the other stringy bark features. I'm not sure on the cladistic analysis whether they fall outside the group of stringy barks. I'm just not too sure about that. Just remember that botanical name, obliqua, is because of these oblique leaf bases. And people generally say it wasn't a very intelligent name to give it because, as we've seen, all these stringy barks have these uneven leaf bases. But what I really do like is the capsules. There's another one there. And if you think you've got a stringy bark, it's got oblique leaves. They're pretty fat and genuine. They're not, they're sort of not overly thick, but they are thickish. I wouldn't say as thick as capitulata. And they've sort of got a nice, really smooth, silky feel to them. And you can definitely see stringy bark buds. But then you got to find these. And when you see these like this, it can pretty much only be obliqua. It can't be any other species. No other, stringy bark in New South Wales is going to have fruit like this. They're very conspicuous, very different. Sort of barrel shaped, almost like something like Eucalyptus botryoides or something like that. So sort of got them back on the tree like that. You might even argue they look a little bit like maybe piperita almost, or something like that. Maybe when they're old and crusty. I mean, if I found this one on the ground, I might think I've got piperita around. Pretty sure I don't have any piperita on this site, though it could be here, but I'm pretty sure I haven't seen any. So that's Eucalyptus obliqua. It's a really beautiful tree. I'll just go down into the bushland, and just for a minute, I'll just show you how beautiful they can get. Just walking in now. Sort of a informal walking track here, but gee, they're gorgeous, these areas. hopefully you're sort of picking up a bit on that grassy meadow. It's real bushland. You can sort of get a picnic blanket and lie down in and just, you know, read a book all day. I should follow my own advice and do that. But here's a nice big one over here. Eucalyptus obliqua. So just look for the stringy bark going all the way up. And then you should be able to see that the leaves are sort of pretty wide. They're pretty wide and broad. And all I can think of a stringy bark that looks like it is again, maybe capitulata, but these guys are getting way too big for the average capitulata. I probably should throw in something like Eucalyptus agglomerata. Yeah, they can get that big, but it's a wrong habitat for agglomerata too, this sort of shale country. It's this really heavy shale soil, I would say, rules agglomerata out. So you might think you've got agglomerata for a second, but don't forget the fruits. Just look on the ground and start to see if you can find any of these jobbies. But the leaves are very green. They're not blue like agglomerata. They're fat. All the leaves I'm looking at are pretty fat. So the canopy is pretty generous, you know, getting like a sort of mahogany canopy. It's quite generous, yeah. So you might have to take your time with it, but once you learn its habitat, you sort of start to suspect it as soon as you drive in. These sort of cooler and wetter southern highlands areas, really enriched soils. That's real obliqua country. I have photographed some in Tasmania that were, well and truly hitting 60, 70 metres. So they're real titans. Let's just have a look at this one here just to finish off. Stringy bark, as you can see. No different, I'd argue, to a lot of the other stringy barks. Just getting these beautiful huge strips. And it goes all the way to the upper branches again. So all the features of a stringy bark, basically. They're just growing all through there with Cypellocarpa. And we've also got Eucalyptus radiata here. That's the narrow leaf peppermint, that's here as well. So those three trees, they really dominate the southern highland shale woodland. Obliqua, Cypellocarpa and radiata. You can get some other ones as well, but they're definitely three of the main ones. All right, hopefully enough for you. It's a beautiful tree, the Messmate.